Hey, I have a question. It's a real simple one. Do you like beef? We're talking steak. And do you kind of really hate paying for it? Like at restaurants, one thing, but to buy it at the grocery store, is it way too expensive? Yeah, of course it is. It's way too expensive. But did you know that when it comes to buying beef at the grocery store, it doesn't have to be super pricey as long as you know what you're buying? Did you know that in the US, the USDA grades beef on different levels? Did you know that there's beef that is also inspected and rated that's safe for consumption and sale, but is not inspected by the USDA, so it's not rated, and that is sold at a much lower price? Most people don't. Most grocery stores only carry Select or Choice. Some grocery stores even carry Prime, and Prime is very, very expensive. This is a beef tenderloin. This beef tenderloin is what is considered a no roll. Now, a no roll is just a piece of beef from a carcass that was inspected by the USDA but not graded, meaning that it's safe for consumption, it's wholesome, it's fantastic, but they didn't grade it to see how high quality it was. It doesn't say Select, Choice, or Prime, which means it could be a fantastic cut of beef or it could be really tough. And these, if you could find a place that sells these, tend to sell at a much cheaper price per pound. This particular beef tenderloin I purchased for $9.99 a pound. For $9.99 a pound, it's more than worth it. This is what's called a 5-and-up, meaning that it's 5 pounds or greater. You can get them at about 5 pounds. It might be 8, it might be 9, because they're priced per pound. That equates to your final price. This particular one's about $60, so it's just over 5 pounds. It's a little under 60. 5 pounds of beef. I can do a lot with that. I can cut a handful of really great steaks out of it. At 8 ounces, I could probably cut 10 steaks, easy. Or I can do a little better than that. I might do 6 steaks and then use the trimmings to do beef tips. Or maybe I'm going to make a really great stew or a risotto or something. But this will feed my family for at least 3 meals, guaranteed. Or maybe the mythological stroganoff. Yes, that could be what I'm doing. Either way, I mean, these things are so awesome. And for the price I'm paying, and I'm feeding a family of 5, it's more than worth it. So let's get started. Now that I've got out of the plastic wrap, a little messy so I didn't record that part, we're going to start to remove this. This skin-like piece right here, some people call it silver skin, it is very, very tough. This is not fat that will render down. This is like connective tissue, so as you cook, if you don't remove it, it'll get tougher and it'll cause your meat to bend as it cooks. So we don't want that to happen because when we cut our steaks, we want them to be as flat as possible so they're nice and they get a uniform sear on both sides. So that's got to come off. So with this skin right here, this, if you run your knife down this and pull, it'll actually peel right off instead of cutting and wasting a bunch of meat. Sometimes you have to help with the knife a little bit. You'll see a couple small knife marks, but for the most part, this just peeled off. So everyone is going to process their beef a little differently, but for me, this is kind of what I'm looking for. I go ahead and I find out where I need to cut here and down here to get this piece of beef. This is going to be kind of the majority where I'm cutting steaks from right here. So I'll cut this into steaks and I'll get them packaged up and get processed for our family later. But then I'm left with this and this and this and this. I have all this stuff left. Now, there are some solid pieces. You could definitely cut a steak or two out of this, but this is perfect for making a really easy stew meat, or if you want to use it for steak tacos or anything else you would use beef as your main protein for. This right here is perfect. It's super tender and there's good fat. We're going to cut a little bit more of this stuff off because you don't want it too tough, but it is absolutely where you get to save your money, because steaks are one thing, but not everyone's going to eat steak every day, but you can use this in so many different applications, and this is where the meal prep really comes in handy. Now, as you can see, I put a little knife mark right here. It's about 1.5 inches. That's how thick I'm going to cut my steaks. At 1.5 inches, I'm looking at probably 5 to 6, and that's a good size steak. If I were in a restaurant, I would have trimmed these up more to make more of a perfect round, but this is for my house. This is for my family, and I'm not portioning for customers. I'm portioning for happy tummies. So this is what I've done. Made 5 beautiful, how dark red that is, beautiful cuts of beef that are going to be delicious with a little garlic and compound butter. So this piece right here, we have decided we're going to fillet this, pound it out nice and thin, and make a stuffed tenderloin out of. All these pieces right here that I've cut up, will end up being stew meat, or maybe we'll do steak tacos or fajitas. This is probably 2 pounds of meat that has been diced up, little scraps, and then of course we have our steaks. Now, before we package our scraps and get them either put in the fridge or freezer, we need to make sure they're protected and marinated for the process. So we're going to start with some herbs. These are all dried. That way you can keep them in your cupboard at all times. And you can be a little generous because throughout the process you might lose some of the seasoning. Then we're going to do a little bit of generic Canadian steak seasoning. This has got your roasted onion and garlic, and it's something that's shelf stable. And I'm going a little heavy. And then the most important part is going to be oil. You don't have to use a lot, but you want to make sure that everything is coated. So now it's just left to mix it up. And you want to make sure you get everything evenly coated. So we're going to mix for a few minutes. So then when it goes into the freezer, everything's protected and the meat doesn't get freezer burnt and comes out delicious. Now for the steaks, I am going to start with some oil too. And I am going to just put a lot on there because I'm going to massage this in, and then I'm going to season them. You're probably noticing an excess amount of oil. And you'd be right, because like I said, I'm at home, so we're not trying to be perfect. I'm going to give a generous amount of pepper to this side. I love pepper. I am much more an advocate of pepper than I am salt. But speaking of salt, this is iodized table salt. Now you can use whatever kind of salt you want. That's what I have on hand. Obviously, most cooking shows, they show you using kosher because of how large the granules are. You can have a better representation as to how much you're putting on there. This is just me, so this is what I'm using. I'll flip this over and repeat on this side. After we are done seasoning, we're going to put these in our container. Now, normally you would put them in like a Ziploc bag or something, but honestly, I'm out of those. I'm going to use a 32-ounce deli container and stack the steaks on top of each other, which will reduce the amount of air they're getting by quite a bit. Now, you can get these containers from just about anywhere. They are 32 ounces, so they are 4 cups. And little press in the steak. Should be able to almost get all of them in there. I got 4 of the 5 steaks in this container. I put a little oil on top to help reduce the amount of air they're going to get. Once I put the lid on, they go in the fridge, it'll be good for about a week. And the 5th one will go in its own container. Now, I do recommend when you pull these out, dump the oil off and pat them dry. So here we are. Here's our beef tenderloin processed and ready to go in the fridge. This one has the least amount on it. There's no oil on it, just a little seasoning, because I'm going to stuff this. So you will see this again. These will be in there for probably close to a week until I'm ready to cook them. That's all there was to it. It's a great way. Anytime you get a full meat like that, if you can get a full chicken, break it down, use it for everything, it's a great way to save money. It's the best way to feed your family as well. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time when I'm showing you guys tips and tricks I use in my home.